How's it going, everybody? This is Video Boy and welcome to Archipelo devlog number 45. So it's been a while, but that means there's a lot of things since the last devlog. So in this devlog we added all the combat stuff, and there was a lot that we had to add in order to have this to work in the game. So here's a quick montage of all the weapons that we have so far, and enjoy. Alright, so that was pretty awesome, and there are also a ton of things that you may or may not have noticed that we added as well. For instance, we've added the particle system, so that allows us to have the chunks flying out of the slimes when they're damaged, and we also use this for the damage counter numbers. We also added in the movement animation system, so currently we're only using it for knockback when the entities are hit, but we can use it for other things as well. I have also programmed pretty much the entire sound engine for the game at this point, so we can specify footstep sounds, sounds for items, for monsters, or just general world sound effects that can be played around the world for things like doors or any entity really, and it all plays them on the client. And this also takes into account how loud the sound should be played depending on how far the player is from where the sound's coming from. So in the future we might add in some like sound effects such as reverb, but other than that it's pretty much done. Right now we won't really show off the sound effects because we're using placeholder stuff, but soon we're going to have some good stuff to show you. Of course, as seen with the weapons, we now have item use animations, so now the player can actually use items and you can see it on all the clients. And we can also define the frame lengths one by one, or we can do it automatically by saying the length of the entire animation and it will be split up between the different frames. So we have some freedom of what we want to do. Like for example, for the hammers, when the player hits with the hammer, we can make it stick on the last frame for a little bit longer than the others, just so it looks like the player got paralyzed because it's just so heavy. Also, even though it's not in the game yet, we have support for using different control combinations to use items differently. So for example, we can implement bows that can charge up to shoot more powerfully, but you can also release the attack button early for a weaker shot. And we can even do this with swords as well that can charge up and do like some big bonus attack. Also, like I was just saying about the hammer, the player can actually get paralyzed on the last frame and they won't be able to move at all. So that's very useful as well. Also, as a little bonus on the computer version only of Archipelo, not the mobile version, we added in movement locking. So if you hold down the tab key, you're able to change directions without the player moving, so it's very useful for when we're testing out weapons. Also now, the event system that we mentioned in the last devlog, is much better because it uses priorities. So there's much more we can do with it, and we can also restrict which event handlers can edit things after the events are triggered. Also, when watching the montage, you may have noticed that entities flash either red or green when they're being healed or damaged. So that's also pretty cool. We use shaders for that, and it's pretty well optimized, so we're happy with it. And you'll also see on the screen now that we have a new font for the game. It's pretty much used everywhere. We might have to make some adjustments for it. There's a couple of little things that we need to configure and tweak, but other than that, it's fairly good and we're pretty happy with it. Also, we officially have a health bar in place, and it also has support for mana and XP. Although the mana and XP isn't actually in the game, we just use random values to make the bar look like it was filled up. But the health does work, which is really good. Also, to do the combat, we wanted to add in entity spawners. So we're currently only using it for slimes at the moment. So you can see that the slimes can spawn in a certain region. The entity spawners are actually entities themselves that spawn other entities. It's pretty elegant the way it was designed, and we're pretty happy with it. We can also define a region of different sizes, so it's really useful, and we can use it to spawn any entity. And also, players now respawn when they die. So basically they just go back to the start of the map, but eventually we're going to have checkpoints and things like that to respawn at. And of course, obviously, we added in the slimes. We needed our first enemy in the game so that we can actually test the combat. So it's a very fitting enemy for an RPG. So the slimes are in so many different RPGs right at the beginning of the game, so we thought that would be a perfect fit. They're completely animated, and we even have some new animations that we're going to add in soon for them. And we also have some more enemies on the way, so stay tuned for that. Also, I just want to mention that the slimes do use the new animation system that we talked about in the previous devlog, and they also use an entity component, which we also talked about in the last devlog. This component has the behavior to, when players approach it, it starts following it, and once players reach a certain distance away from them, they stop following it. They're not very intelligent yet, like they don't pathfind around collisions, but they just go straight to the player using a simple tangent calculation. Eventually we will have better AI, but we need to measure performance, because it could be pretty heavy on the server, so we need to be careful about that. So that's basically every main thing that we've added so far, but there are a lot of things behind the scenes, including little bug fixes and even a few cheat fixes that we didn't realize. Also, you may have noticed that the player doesn't jump around at all anymore, and that's because we finished the netcode. So everything syncs perfectly across all the clients, and we're pretty happy with it. Soon we're going to do a networking tutorial, so you'll be able to set up networking in your own games like this, and it'll work flawlessly even at a lower ping. Okay, so on to the goals for the next devlog. We plan on working on things related to the game world. So it's still some more engine stuff, but we're also going to be doing a lot of content as well. So Landon, the pixel artist, has already started working on some new non-weapon items, like materials, like crafting things and things like that, as well as new tile sets and quite a few more assets, including more enemies and things like that. We're also going to be adding weather overlays, so we can have effects like wind or snow going over the screen, over the map. And we're also going to add backgrounds for different maps. So it's a few little engine add-ons like that, and it's just overall going to make the game feel more alive. We're also going to add in, we're not sure what we're going to call it, like it's going to be these objects that are not bound by tile positions, but they can be anywhere on the X and Y axis. And they're basically going to be kind of like the elements, like the trees, but they're not bound by tiles. So we're going to be able to use this for things like flowers or little rocks. Basically anything that we don't want to be bound by tiles, but anything that won't move either. They can have animations, of course, but they're just going to stay in the same position. So we're going to add that as well. It's going to make it possible for us to make the game world feel a lot more alive. For the next devlog, I also want to experiment with procedural generation. a little bit so that we can get ready for the future. And we have some pretty good plans for procedural generation, how it's going to work in the game world. So we're kind of playing with the idea of having a procedurally generated world, but players won't have access to exploring it infinitely. Basically, we're thinking that we're only going to release sections every once in a while. So perhaps once a month we're going to release new sections of it. And they're also going to be slightly modified by us just to make sure everything is good. So that's probably how we're going to end up doing it. Also, with implementing a procedural world like this, we're actually going to have to implement a chunk system so that the game loads maps more efficiently. So the game's only going to load certain chunks depending on where players are currently active in the game world. So their maps are not going to be standalone anymore, neither will the islands. The entire game world is going to be continuous, and there won't be loading screens once you enter different islands. It's really just going to be a chunk system, kind of like the way Minecraft works. And yeah, it's going to be like that instead of having loading screens like we're planning on doing right now. But one of my main goals though for this next devlog is bug fixing. There's quite a few bugs and I would like to get through a lot of them so that we can start doing more tests as a team, so that we can play around with game ideas and just basically develop more content for the game. The game's a little buggy right now. I'm able to easily debug on my own computer and be able to play it and be able to program new stuff. But when we try using other people's computers and other people try to run the clients, there's quite a few bugs, and we even noticed some bugs relating to graphics because of different GPU manufacturers. So we're going to try to fix a few of those bugs to start out so that we can really start developing the content of the game and working less on the engine. I just want to end off this devlog by talking a little bit about the channel and kind of what's the status of everything. So it's been a while since we had any non-live stream videos, so we're going to be releasing a few of those. We're going to be doing the networking tutorial that we've been promising for a while. It'll probably be a 2-part mini-series. So I started writing the script for it and it's looking pretty good, but there's a lot of other stuff we have to do as well. You know, I need to actually talk and record my voice. I also need to do drawings in the background to help explain the different concepts. And also I wanted to implement networking into the platformer game so that you guys have a good example using Java and libgdx. That part's almost done. I worked on it a few weeks ago, but yeah, it should be out soon. And also I want to do some basic idea update videos for Archipelo so we can talk to you guys about the things that we've been talking about to ourselves, different ideas and paths that we're thinking of going to in the future of Archipelo's development. So this way we'll be able to get your guys' opinion and see what you guys think about our ideas. And maybe you guys have better ideas or maybe you like them. So yeah, we plan on doing a few of those this summer. And of course there's going to be a lot more live streams coming soon. I won't give you guys an exact date, but they will be pretty soon, probably in the next couple of weeks. And hopefully we'll be able to do devlogs more regularly. But there's a lot on our plate for the next devlog, so it might take a little while. But yeah, we're pretty excited for it. So this is where this devlog ends. I hope you guys enjoyed it and liked everything that we added into the game. And we're pretty happy with the combat so far. And there are actually a few things that we couldn't put in this devlog, or at least we didn't want to, because we want to reserve it for the next one, because it doesn't really fit the combat theme, so we kind of just wanted to push it off to the next one. So there is a few more things. If you like this devlog, please leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And yes, I wanted to do one last thing. I just want to quickly shout out this book. It's called Indie by Design. I got it in the mail in December and I've really been enjoying it. It's talking about the experiences of different game developers and different ideas for games and how they came about to making different games. So I have a link down below to their YouTube channel, and from there you should be able to get to where you can buy the book. It's a really good book if you guys are interested in it, and I definitely recommend it. So that's it for this one, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.